In this morning's Economic 360, we're talking about inflation, a concept that impacts everybody, but few understand where it comes from and how it works. One guy who does understand it is U.S. Bank investment analyst Jim Russell. Jim, we all know, first of all, welcome.
Good morning.
We all know what inflation is, but where does it come from?
Well, Brian, it's a wonderful question. I think a lot of people have maybe some illusions about where it comes from, maybe some misperceptions on what drives inflation. What we've done is put together a graph for our viewers this morning. I'd like to maybe point to that for just a second. What you can see here is that food and energy really comprise about a quarter of the inflationary forces behind us. Other commodities add in about another 20%. You add those two together, that's 44% of inflation. Yes, it is. And so, and both of those categories, by the way, food and energy and the commodity complex, are headed down in price currently. Now, also, in terms of shelter, you can see that that is also another significant component. You add those three together, food and energy, commodities and shelter, those three are also all going down right now. We had Case-Shiller numbers earlier this week. Housing prices are off about 2% year over year. We think inflation continues to move a bit lower. Right now, the latest data point we have, 2.3% annual inflation, but we could see that maybe moving lower as we hit the summer months.
So, well, the bottom line, what does this mean for families here in the tri-state?
A little bit of inflation is a good thing. A lot of it, of course, is a bad thing. We're in a period called disinflation. That is, inflation is moving a bit lower from 3% about a year ago or so to about 2%, and again, probably 1.5% as we move forward. Another graph that we have for our viewers today, you can see that if you take wages minus inflation as measured by the CPI, a common index, you can see that wages are basically staying even with inflation right now. So the raises that you and I get on an annual basis are basically just to keep us ahead of inflation or even with inflation. This is one of these data series we'd like to see moving up a little bit. Families are not making a whole lot of headway against some of the inflationary trends we're seeing right now.
So you got a raise this year?
No comment.
Good. I did too. Yeah. So, all right. So there were some numbers released Friday on unemployment.
We had disappointing numbers released on unemployment. The average, the averages looked bad. We saw unemployment rate move from 8.1 to 8.2% nationally. Some of these sub-indices underneath the number, Brian, were also a little bit disturbing. Only added 69,000 jobs this month. Between this month and last month, an average of 73,000 jobs. That's simply not enough to move the unemployment rate lower. Importantly for Ohio, the manufacturing jobs that were added were not many at 12,000 this month. That's not many. We've had a strong dollar relative to other currencies globally because of the situation in Europe. More to come there, but that's hurting our manufacturers in the Ohio region.
Could it be just a blip, or is it a trend? Do we know?
We think the downturn and the slowdown is maybe underway. China, India, certainly Europe, and now the United States. We think that this could be a little bit of a tough period over the summer months. We're looking for the Fed and others to step in and provide a little bit of support.
Jim Russell, we appreciate you and U.S. Bank. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.